10, hut!
My name is Lieutenant Aldo Rain, and I'm putting together a special team, and I need me 8 soldiers. 8 Jewish American soldiers. Now, y'all might have heard rumors about the Armada happening soon. Well, we'll be leaving a little earlier. We're gonna be dropped into France, dressed as civilians. Once we're in enemy territory, as a bushwhacking guerrilla army, we're gonna be doing one thing, and one thing only. Killing Nazis. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I sure as hell didn't come down from the goddamn Smoky Mountains, cross 5,000 miles of water, fight my way through half of Sicily, and jump out of a fucking aeroplane to teach the Nazis lessons in humanity. Nazi ain't got no humanity. They're the foot soldiers of a Jew-hating, mass-murdering maniac, and they need to be destroyed. That's why any and every sumbitch we find wearing a Nazi uniform, they're gonna die. Now, I'm the direct descendant of the mountain man Jim Bridger. That means I got a little engine in me. And our battle plan will be that of an Apache resistance. We will be cruel to the Germans. And through our cruelty, they will know who we are. And they will find the evidence of our cruelty in the disemboweled, dismembered, and disfigured bodies of their brothers we leave behind us. And the German won't be able to help themselves. But imagine the cruelty their brothers endured at our hands, and our boot heels, and the edge of our knives. And the German will be sickened by us, and the German will talk about us, and the German will fear us. And when the German closes their eyes at night, and they're tortured by their subconscious for the evil they have done, it will be with thoughts of us that they are tortured with. Sound good?
Yes, sir!
That's what I like to hear. But I got a word of warning for all you would-be warriors. When you join my command, you take on debit. A debit you owe me, personally. Each and every man under my command owes me 100 Nazi scalps. And I want my scalps. And all y'all will get me 100 Nazi scalps, taken from the heads of 100 dead Nazis. Or you will die trying.
Hallo und willkommen bin Fine Movies, Fine Spirits Podcast. Ich bin Mikey C. Wait. Actually,
What the fuck is that?
No, wait. I'm sorry, wait.
I'm guessing German.
Bonjour et bienvenue sur le podcast Fine Movies, Fine Spirits. Je suis Mikey C. I'm sorry. This is ridiculous. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it using the Kings. Hello and welcome to Fine Movies, Fine Spirits. I'm Mikey C. And I'm here tonight with a couple friends, but for the first time since this podcast started, I'm here raising a glass of actual alcohol. A little red wine Merlot. Yum, it tastes like wine. But, as I said, I'm not here alone. With me is my usual band of merry men. First up is a man who's assured me that the fact that we've now done a Miramax movie followed by a Weinstein Company movie back-to-back is purely a coincidence. Mr. Christopher Morris, how are you doing this evening?
Thank you. Doing well, Michael.
And what are you drinking here tonight?
I am drinking, very fittingly. Eric couldn't get me the 33-year-old stuff, but I'm just drinking some Lafroig Scotch, just a 10-year. So it's good
very
stuff.
Nice, very
Damn
nice.
Good stuff, sir.
And with us as well is a little fellow, though not circus midget little, as his reputation would suggest. The little man himself, David Corsetto. How are you doing this evening, buddy?
I'm doing fine, asshole.
And what are you drinking?
I'm going to be drinking milk tonight in honor of our movie.
Oh, look at that milk. Who would have thought
Also
to drink
fitting.
milk during a podcast?
Mm-hmm.
So if you haven't guessed it by now, or the fact that it's the title of this episode, tonight we are doing the 2009 Quentin Tarantino film, Inglourious Basterds with an E.
It's also
Gentlemen.
Inglourious spelled wrong.
Isn't
Did you
Glorious
just
spelled
clap?
wrong too?
It is.
What's he
This-
clapped? You should have clapped. You were supposed to clap. I didn't realize Inglourious was spelled wrong too.
I didn't realize it for years. I would Google it. It's Inglourious.
So did either of you gentlemen see this film in the theater? In the
No.
cinema?
I didn't.
I saw this movie in your house for the first time, Mikey.
That is
probably
correct.
5 years ago.
That is correct. We watched it on Netflix, which was my second time seeing it. And I remember saying, yes, please watch this. And my wife watched it for about 15 minutes and said, no, it's not for me, and bailed. What about you, Chris? Do you remember the first
No,
time you saw it?
I'm sorry.
Do you remember the first time you saw it?
I do remember, and I deeply regret not seeing it in the movie theater because it's such a fun movie. It really is such a popcorn movie.
And looks like it's a beautiful
Visually.
movie, like on a big screen, right?
Right, with the Technicolor and the widescreen shots. Yes, I would love if they did like a reshow. What's 2009?
Yeah.
Is there an anniversary that they might
Maybe
release it again?
A 15 year?
If any movie theaters are open?
Right. There'll be movie theaters open again soon.
Yes,
Hopefully,
I know.
in a few months, I can go see Fast and Furious 9 by myself.
I went 2 weeks ago, actually. So
Oh, really? What did you go see?
saw Godzilla and versus Kong. So we can move on.
Okay.
It was for Aiden.
We're not doing
Aiden
that
wanted-
one someday soon.
Yeah, no, that's if our list is 999 movies, that's just that's all we can fit. It's not gonna make the cut.
So, as with
So
just about every Tarantino movie, this was, a critical success. Any guesses as to, or if you don't know, what the Rotten Tomatoes score would be on this movie?
I'm gonna
86.
guess 88.
By Price is Right rules, well, David is closer. No one went over. It's 89.
Wow.
89 it is.
89%.
Should be
certified
100.
fresh. Right?
Should be 100. What about you, Mike? Did you see it in the movie theater or? Oh,
No,
you saw it with Dave.
I think I rented it on DVD, literally or it was one of those things where it was like at the library on DVD, but it was like before it was even streaming.
Yeah, it
That
was.
was the first time I saw it, and I just remember being
What an
like,
experience seeing it
Yeah.
for the first time.
it had been years since I finally watched it for this too, so it was great.
Oh, really?
I remember.
I love doing these movies just for the pure fact that we have to watch. I have to watch these movies multiple times before the podcast, and just like the last one we did, No Country for Old Men, this one did not get old. I watched it probably 5 times and did not get old, and it's a 2-hour plus.
It
movie.
also gets better. It's
Yeah.
so. I would say. I think this might have reflected on the Tarantino ranking, and we did Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is great. And Pulp Fiction always holds a special place. I think Pulp Fiction is maybe his most important movie, the way it kind of changed movies, and just because it was so unique and not like no other movie. But I think Inglourious might be his best movie. It's just perfect. It's
It's
just
so
one of the best movies of the 2000s.
amazingly done, amazingly directed. I mean, he's directing international actors that not even speaking English. So who knows what he knows is even being said as it's being said. I mean,
30% of the movie is in English.
it's crazy.
Yeah,
I agree.
The movie is ridiculous. The acting is ridiculous. The actors are ridiculous. The dialogue's fantastic. Just like it's fitting as all his movies are, and the dialogue's ridiculous in all his movies. But oh my god, it was pretty good. But it's so hard to judge his movies. It's hard.
I agree.
It's hard for me to rank his movies because they're so freaking good. But
And the casting.
the acting
It's
is
impossible to
ridiculous.
not put this up near the top, though.
I mean, the casting he did, the fact that like most of the bastards are like comedic actors.
Well, I said it to you. I said it to you the other day, Mikey. Who was the best actor in that movie? And
Or
who
like
was
is-
who was the supporting actor really in
Right.
that movie? Because there really wasn't a supporting actor. They're all
Well,
equal in that movie.
I told you what my theory was. I had been going over this, and I think so. This is I just think this is why I love the movie so much. It is basically like the opening scene. This is the most realism that Tarantino has had in his scenes. He goes from a scene like that with such building tension, and then the scene, there's basically 5 scenes in the movie, right? Like 5 or 6 scenes.
Chapter that he calls the chapters. Yeah.
Chapters, but they're really they're really not many scenes. And it's mostly dialogue. There are, spurts of action at the end of, obviously, of most of the scenes, but it's the building of the tension. The opening scene is so realistic, and then it's interspersed with, you have the scenes which aren't supposed to be, the bastards aren't supposed to be the most realistic thing, but just ridiculously entertaining, just perfect dialogue. Every line Aldo Raines says is just perfect, and you have that, and it's just this is what I was going to say. Christoph Waltz, his performance really puts it over the top for me.
Yep.
And I think,
because he's an unknown,
I really think,
to most people at this point.
And Tarantino wrote the part, and he didn't think he was going to even be able to make the movie because, so first of all, he wrote the script, and right after Jackie Brown, or it was before the Kill Bills, he shelved it for 10 years because he couldn't think of what ending to have for the movie. And then when he was making, after he finished, the part of Hans, it was so, he didn't think he would have an actor that would match the part. And then Christoph Waltz, is just, the part was made for him. And that puts him over the top. Like I said, I'm sorry.
Does he speak those languages, or was it just he picked it up?
Yeah.
So
He speaks all those languages.
Yeah.
So does Fassbender.
He's internationally well known. He's won so many awards, in Europe for his acting as well.
Right.
So.
This was his coming out of American movies. And
Hollywood, yep.
And I told you, I looked it up, and he has the most screen time because I was like, of course he won Best Supporting Actor Oscar. And then I was like, should he have won? I'm rewatching it. I'm like, he's in so much of this. He had the most screen time. He had 40 minutes, and Brad Pitt had like 19 minutes. And then I'm thinking, like, Anthony Hopkins won Best Actor for Silence of the Lambs. He was in it for 16 minutes. I looked it up, and I'm like, just because he was the villain, I'm like, Christoph Waltz should have won Best Actor. And then I looked to see who won it, and it was Jeff Bridges won for That Country.
Like Crazy Heart.
He was good. You know what? Christoph Waltz was better. If he was nominated for Best Actor, he was easily.
That was like a transcendent performance. I don't know if it
really was.
That was my point to you, Mikey. That was my point. Like, he should have been Best Actor.
Yeah. See, I didn't even realize that he was in it the most, because he was in that first scene, and then am I wrong? You didn't see him again until the cafe.
Yes.
And
the strudel.
That's right. Yeah, the strudel.
Yeah.
I think he was probably in it so much because he was in the whole second half of it also,
Yeah,
when you think about it.
But that scene, I know we're jumping ahead. I don't want to jump ahead, but that scene, I want to talk about part of that scene.
Yeah, but that first scene, you got to go back to that first scene, because
we will.
That's not the whole movie.
That's
obviously.
It's many people's best scene. It's probably the best scene. It's many people's favorites. I think my favorite is later on. We'll get into that, but like I was saying, it's just perfect how they handle there's obviously some humor with the bastards, and the way they show Stiglitz, the way they have the hard rock music for him, and
right, he's got his logo.
But I think it's like the tone is perfect. Like it works. It just works. Like, I know Dave loves Jojo Rabbit. Good movie. I just think that they don't do as good just because it has a similar theme. It's a Nazi Germany, or it doesn't. For me, that movie, I actually think the serious parts work better than the humor in that movie. But
with Jojo Rabbit, that's a future movie for us. But I think that's
I don't think so.
Well, sure, it's a great movie.
No, it's pretty good.
Great movie. Go ahead, keep going.
All right, Michael. So, do we have anything else to say?
No, I have a couple little notes that I can talk about one thing that's kind of more general is I love Tarantino's use of really close-ups that he uses throughout the movie. Just I don't know if it's just to draw your focus on something, right? Like untying something so close, the cream. I don't know. It just builds tension.
You're right. The camera shots are ridiculous. The way he pans into certain things and the way he pans down at the opening scene, the way he pans into the Nazis. Is he a sergeant?
Yeah. And then at one point, it's just one camera jumping back and forth between three different things. I mean,
and he does some different things in the opening scene that I guess is unique. Sometimes it's a no, but yes, it's and the score is obviously so great. So we have a bunch of we have our favorite quotes, and I'm sure you have some of those listed and our favorite characters. And I won't accept all of them for an answer, but just about all of them, right?
It's pretty close.
Absolutely.
I mean, you kind of like what Daniel Bruhl's character a little bit there for a bit. It's a weird.
Wait, who? I'm sorry.
I just know his name because he's in Marvel stuff too. The young Nazi soldier film star.
Oh yes, okay, yeah. He's also in the Alienist or something. That's he's in a few things actually. I saw him. Is he a villain or something on?
Yeah, he's on the Disney Plus shows right now. Like he's on one of those.
You had to derail us.
I mean, look.
Okay.
There's a lot of
this movie's only like 2.5 hours long. Let's keep derailing.
This pod is going to be 3.5.
Yeah, we haven't even got to the start of the movie.
So the opening scene is great. You just see, like I said, the wide shot, the music, the Green Leaves of Summer, which is originally in the Alamo movie. It was a movie with John Wayne, the Alamo, and you see him chopping wood. It's just great. It's so European, nice orchestral music. I think it's accordion is actually playing that song, and Perrier Le Petit is chopping wood. This is going to take a long time. If I'm breaking down the first 30 seconds, that wood he was chopping was pine. In 5-minute increments, but he was chopping wood. That opening scene is very similar to Unforgiven, I guess. Remember, Clint Eastwood was chopping wood at the beginning, and they have a similar shot like that. So you see the shot of the farmhouse and the daughter, and they see the Nazis.
I love how it's revealed under the sheet that's on the line.
Yep, it's just great. And then the acting by the farmer is so great, right? I mean, just Hans introducing himself. You see his charm right away. I mean, you're obviously guarded, and you see his charm right away, and just like amusing already. And so the suspense is building.
Obviously playing with them. He's just he's toying with them from the start.
Like he's disarmingly.
He's toying with them so much you could tell. Like he's asking him for milk, and as the milk, asking him permission. Like he's asking him permission to smoke his pipe and everything, and he has to speak in English, just to show that, to just basically tell him he's in charge, really. Like I'm asking you permission, but I'm in charge here. And he creepily touches the daughter, and then he I love how he takes out his little ink.
Even that, he's so smooth. He fills the pen. But
throughout this movie, he loves when people know who he is, though, as well. So he asked him, "Do you know who I am? Yeah. Do you know what they call me?"
Oh yes.
He loves that about himself.
Right. I think that's right when he switches to English and he says, "Are you aware of my existence?" So yes, that's great. And then I love Roomies, he says flamboyantly.
Facts.
And talk about the Dreyfuses. So the way the camera, this is what I'm talking about. The way the camera shows them sitting on one, from left to right, and then you see it pans around 180. I guess they really do that. And then it has the farmer, right before it pans down. It suddenly pans down. He's asking him questions. Pans down. You see his leg, and then you see the Dreyfuses under the floorboards, and it's just building, and so just so well done, and obviously so tense. And then he's talking about the the rats.
Oh, he's making it seem so practical. He's like, I mean, you don't understand. This is,
Right.
it's logical. Yeah.
It's his job. Yeah.
Right. He's saying he can think like where a regular German, a regular Nazi soldier, to be precise, only thinks like a hawk. He thinks like a rat. So that's when I think this is some of the best acting. You see his charming face. It's like he pulls down the mask and you see like a terrifying look he's giving him. And that stare just breaks La Petite. And then that his great acting by the farmer with, he's crying. He says, "You are sheltering enemies of the state." And then so fantastic is the buildup of the music.
And then he obviously he confesses that he's harboring people.
Yeah.
That was where
after he does that, and he asks them where they are.
Yeah.
Then he goes, "You're going to keep up with my ruse."
Yeah, he says obviously they don't speak English, and then then you hear the music, the classical music, the strings, and it's just building the suspense, and then you have the chanting when. He must have told the other soldiers to leave Shoshana because he points, like he sees that she's escaping. He sees a noise, and then you see her escaping out of the side window, and then they're showing the view from the house. You see the door, the shot of the door, and you see nothing. You just see her running away. I'm like, those other soldiers, they could have run right over there, and you know what I mean. And that's terrifying. Few minutes when you see the shot of him and the camera pans in on him, with the
gun, and he just
aiming for her.
It's almost like, oh, we'll get you another day.
Au revoir, Shoshana.
Yeah.
But they just zoom in onto her. Like that, it was perfect that they zoom in onto her face as she's running, though. Like that complete look of fear, and then how important she becomes later on in the movie.
I was like, run zigzag, don't run a straight line.
I thought about that the last time I watched it. I'm like, serpentine. But yeah, so that scene, I think that might be the best Tarantino scene, the best not necessarily the most entertaining. It's because it's just so tense and the acting is so
But
great.
for this movie, that's the scene. If they were to play a scene specific to this movie, it's
I agree. That or the cellar, the basement, but
basement was a great scene.
We'll get to that. And
that's
then
probably my favorite scene.
I think it's mine. I've been saying for years. But then you meet the Bastards and all those great lines. So we talked about how great Brad Pitt was in Once Upon a Time, but I think he has better lines in this, obviously, and his character is
he's more of a character in this, big time.
He is right. It's over the top even, but it just works. You're not like, that's ridiculous.
It has that old army, war movie kind of feel. That kind of character,
Exactly. You can tell Tarantino loved the old war movies.
Yeah.
What was that, Dick?
He was just over. He was over the top. It was a perfectly well done over the top. It was.
He really was perfect.
It was fucking incredible.
They're the foot soldiers of a Jew-hating Nazi maniac, and they need to be destroyed.
Just the way he spoke, every fucking word in that movie was hilarious.
He right. Every line he had was perfect. He said, "And the Germans will fear us." Right, and you see the neck.
That was one of my notes. They never talk about the neck. They never mention it. But was it rope burn or like choked or hung or
must
dragged?
have been a rope burn, but you never know when he was.
You just know he's experienced.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and yes, great stuff. You owe me. You get me my 100 Nazi scalps, so you will die trying.
Yeah, that's
one thing I like. The Bastards. I know it's amusing and it's almost like comical, but it's like those guys are good doing it to the death, obviously.
Yeah.
Well,
as we find out.
And I said it earlier, those Bastards were actually based on a true story in World War II.
I don't know exactly what
I watched it last night. There was a documentary on the Bastards. It was a true thing. So this movie was based on a true story.
Do you have the facts?
I have some facts, but
Well, they were like a band of Nazi hunters.
Yeah, they were
in Germany or France.
They were Jewish recruited soldiers that came from Europe that were sent back to Europe to just kill Nazis. That was their
Nazis.
job. So
you gotta love how he says Nazis.
Oh.
So then they cut to Hitler. The guy's pretty entertaining. 999. Yes, he's going crazy about the.
I don't know. That's Jew. Not anyone. Like that's just some German actor. Or I don't know.
No, they raised him from the dead.
No, but I mean, you know what I mean. It's not. I mean, he could do it
himself. Those scenes were shot in 42.
Hey, that would have been great at the end. And as himself, and he's waving.
Adolf
Hitler. We had to kill him again at the end for real, though. I meant like it's not a known person, which I like because you wouldn't say, hey, that's
Adolf Hitler.
That's Kevin Kline. It's Adolf Hitler.
Well, there's a lot of people, right? You wouldn't know the Germans.
Right.
Although Stiglitz, I think he was something, but we'll get to him. But so I like when Hitler gives the directive that nobody is to refer to the bad Jew as the bad Jew.
Right. Doesn't want to give anybody a title. And
then the guy says, "Do you want to see private butts?" And he says, "Who and what is a private butts?" 12 private butts. And then they show the scene of this music is always in my head when they show them now in France. So the beginning, I guess the English, they were in England, and so they're now in France and they're scalping Nazis, and they had captured this troop, and this is one of the best scenes. The way they do it with the music, and it's like got the whistling. It's like a spaghetti western kind of. The whole thing is kind of a lot of western themed. Besides, like a nod to war movie history, it's also like a lot of western, references or type of nuance. And they show the slow motion, the German officer, sergeant or lieutenant, but they show that they play that music and they show him walking in slow motion. And then they ask him if he's heard of Stiglitz. I just love the little Sam Jackson voiceover.
Yes, that was great. Yep.
They show his name and they show Stiglitz, and it's so over the top, but just so amusing, right? I mean, Stiglitz is. I have him coming up later. It's one of my top characters. Just so good. And then you get Samuel Jackson, and then that's when he says, we're in the Nazi. We're not in the taking prisoners business. We're in the killing Nazi business. And he says, and cousin business is a booming.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they show the shot of the tunnel, and.
But the German officer was such a dick in that scene.
I think, do you remember that show, The Strain, Dave? The Strain. I think he was a Nazi in that Strain. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
but
he wasn't a dick.
Yeah, he was a dick. At first,
he was very brave, though.
What's that?
He was extremely brave. I was shitting my pants like private butts.
Yeah.
When you hear a bat knocking on the ground, and they're playing the music.
Yeah, but when he want to give up his fellow soldiers,
right? Well, and then he says, "I respectfully decline," and then he says, "Fuck you and your Jew dogs."
Yeah, exactly. So at that point, hold on. But when he says "fuck you" and your Jew dogs, right? That's when you drop your guard down. Like, all right, whatever. You're gonna get fucking toasted, so it's fine.
Oh yeah.
Before that, you felt a little bad. I mean, human feelings.
They love it. It's like because they don't get to see a movie. This is their entertainment.
But then the bat. Well,
he says that, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
He says, "We're all tickled." You said that, Werner.
Yeah, they were glad.
He says, "Donnie killing Nazis is the only thing we get for entertainment. It's like a movie for us." And then the great line from Aldo is, "Donnie, we got us a German here who wants to die for his country. Oblige him." That's right before the music, and you see, and then finally Donnie comes out to Cheers.
Eli Roth.
We know
Director
who
Eli
was supposed
Roth.
to, right. The director, Eli Roth, who looks big. You know who was supposed to play that, right?
No.
I don't.
Adam Sandler.
That
Really?
would have been amazing.
I think it
You
might
know he
have.
could do it.
I was going back and forth. He would have had to get jacked.
A little bit.
I think he might have been great, only because I
Little
know he
old
can
though,
act.
no?
He's a good actor. Alex
Yeah.
is a good actor. He can act.
But so there's the one thing I don't like with Eli Roth. I actually appreciated him more and more watching it again and again and again. Besides his Teddy ball game thing, I just, it gets to me every time. I'm like,
But you
it
know
sounds
guys
bad.
that actually talk like that in baseball, like Red Sox, you know. There are those
yeah,
people.
no, they don't do the real boss. He doesn't do the real boss.
Oh,
accent.
the accent maybe, you know.
Okay, but he's a big guy too, right? So let's not underscore this. He's a big guy, and his voice is so high pitched.
Yeah. Teddy fucking
Yeah.
ball game.
Yeah, that's true too. Take your
It just doesn't-
take your
it doesn't
wiener
fit.
schnitzel licking finger and point on this map where I want to know.
There was actually, just to mention Eli Roth, during Aldo's speech, he said something about, you know, killing the Nazi dogs, and they just cut to him, and he's looking, he's got this big grin on his face, like he's excited to kill these Nazis.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he really is just his facial expressions. And in the end, he's fantastic. I just, oops.
Oh
I
my
mean,
God.
he's very good.
Yeah.
He's very good. We got to keep those fantastics in check.
Drink.
So, yep, drink everybody. So then Private Butts is like, it's amusing where he's like, point on this map. He's like, there, and they all laugh.
And that's the scene where they're going one, like Brad, or it was maybe with the other German guy where he keeps pointing at the map and the camera never
Oh,
cuts. It just
right. The camera, the
goes
way the
German
camera, right? You're
map,
right.
Brad Pitt, boom, boom. Or then the translator comes in. Yeah,
The
same thing. He
translator,
just-
and then,
yeah.
yes,
I-
that was
I
perfect.
agree.
And then they show,
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say they show the view of Aldo and Donnie, which they show later, you know, the camera of him saying,
Right.
you know, how do you get to, he says, you're getting pretty good at that, I think and then he
Yeah.
says, how do you get to Carnegie Hall, don't you? And he says,
Yep.
practice. Yep. Then chapter 3, they go to, oh, did you mention that the name was supposed to be Once Upon a Time in Nazi occupied France? That was supposed to be the name of the movie.
See, I
Really?
noticed that at the beginning.
The
I
first
thought
chapter.
But
And then there was supposed to be the actual name of the movie. So I don't know why he changed that, but
that's awesome.
it was
Maybe
interesting.
we already had Once Upon a Time in Hollywood written.
Yeah, maybe, right. He obviously wouldn't have done both. Then Shoshana owns her movie. That's when
Oh,
she
Shoshana.
sees Frederick Zoller. Is that his name?
Yes.
Yeah,
The sniper.
it's nice.
He a little annoying.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
His character. It
He-
wasn't my
well-
favorite scene. It's so great, but they talk about movies. So that's one other thing about Tarantino, obviously.
Oh yeah.
I love how obviously Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it basically took you back to Hollywood and it changed like history. And it really wanted to give you the feel of how old Hollywood was in LA and everything. This one is great, how it just shows the movie industry, how it basically is what saves the movie.
Yep.
You got, but both, so basically the whole plot of the movie is it's two plans to kill Hitler, right?
Yeah.
That are going to be in this movie theater, but it's her plan. She doesn't know anything about it. Ends up, once Zoller, they want to get Zoller's movie there. It's her plan to burn Hitler and the other Nazi, the important Nazis. Is that oxymoron?
Yeah.
And then you have the bastards who have the plan when they find out he's going to the movie theater, they're going to blow it up. So I love how, and then obviously he talks about just real Pabst. Who was it? It's Pabst. He's an Austrian director, and they just they were talking about that. She was talking about that with Frederick Zoller, and she makes the comment, in France here we respect our directors.
Right.
And that's Tarantino talking about himself.
Yep.
Bit of an egomaniac.
And French
So,
cinema has a big history. And German
Yes,
cinema,
exactly. Yeah. So she's kind of irritated by him, but you could tell a little
Intrigued.
a little charmed by him.
That's the crazy thing. This guy's a Nazi, and
know.
he's a bit of an innocent, charming, kind of. I mean, we see later, maybe not so much, but
Right.
They play him as not a villain.
Well,
Just
it's
kind of
in
a
their perspective, he's not a villain.
Exactly.
So,
Yep.
Right. Oh, it's the guy who plays Goebbels is great too.
Oh my god.
He's so funny. So right, then the next scene she sees him she's sitting there in the cafe, and she sees how famous he is and everything. And
I love that when people just come out of nowhere and
because
they're all excited to meet him.
Because he sniped a bunch of
killed 250 allies in 3 days.
How the hell's that even happened? I'm sorry. One guy.
Did you say the first day I killed 30, the next day I killed 150 or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was amusing. They said it was based on Audie Murphy or something.
Oh, really?
I don't think Audie Murphy killed 250 people, but they did make a movie, and then he became an actor. And yeah, Frederick Zola stars in his own film there, Nation's Pride.
Mhm.
How do you say that in German? Didn't you name the Zoom call?
Yeah, I had it and I lost it.
That's okay. So I didn't notice the first few times I saw it. So then she gets picked up by Hellstrom.
Stole their nation.
There you go. She gets picked up by Hellstrom. You know who Major Hellstrom is?
Now, that's when they want to bring her to the bistro, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know who he is. You mean in real life?
No. He's the guy in the basement also.
Yeah.
Hellstrom.
Great.
Yes. That guy.
Yeah.
That guy screams villain. He just looks like
He's one of my
got that
favorite.
face.
He's one of my favorite. I have him listed as my fourth favorite character. He and she doesn't speak German, I guess, and she says he's terrible. He's great as just a villain saying everything. She's like, what is this for? And he's like, tell her to get your ass in the car. That's when she takes her to the bistro to meet Goebbels. He does his creepy handshake. And then he's asking her about her opera boxes and all that. And
he's got his translator that he also,
oh yeah.
Is it a Goebbels? Is it a Goebbels?
Goebbels, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let's get it right, guys.
What was I pronouncing? Goebbels?
You said gerbils.
I always pronounce him Goebbels.
I think you said gerbils or
You said
Goebbels.
Goldblum.
I always pronounce it. Isn't it Goebbels? I don't know.
Yeah.
The propaganda guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is Goebbels. You're right.
And I like that he's the secretary or whatever of propaganda. I mean, it's not like that's a bad word.
He was top 5. Like if you look at the Nazi elite, he was in the top 5.
Oh,
That's always the
definitely.
name.
Him and Goring.
Yep.
And right. They mention a bunch of them.
Psychopath.
Heider. So this is great. And then they show Goebbels says, "Oh, Hans," and they don't show Hans's face. Yeah. And so here's a question: he meets her. The camera's on Shoshana.
That's what I want to write down. That is one of my favorite scenes in this movie.
It is so great because
Hans
is so entertaining.
Because he's fucking toying with her again.
He's toying with
that's what he does.
He definitely knows.
But I mean, even before that, the scene where they don't show Goebbels leaving, they don't show him, they just show her face. And you just hear their conversation and you see her reaction to it.
And then he orders milk for her, orders 2 strudels.
When he ordered milk, I was like, he knows who she is, right?
He does know who she is. He has to, right?
Right.
Because I guess it's not kosher too, I guess, cream or something like that. So he's wait for the cream. I love when they're just sitting there in silence, but I think he orders them. But then also when he says, I have one other thing to ask you. And then you see the camera's on him. He looks so serious. And then for the life of me, I can't remember. He never forgets anything, right? I mean,
no. Well, he prides himself on being a great detective.
So
yes.
Why did he not turn her in?
Because think about the end. Well, you don't want to go to the ending, but
No,
yes,
you're right.
Yeah,
That's why. Yeah, it's all part of his out.
creative plan.
Yep.
Yeah, and he just some things he's like, why does he need to? Sometimes he likes to toy with it. He always could at any moment, if if he wanted to.
It
question
seems like
her and verify it for sure.
I mean, they might see the writing on the wall too at this point. I don't know if it's where they are at this point. I know at one point they mentioned, the people on the beach, so it's like they see, the end is coming.
Yep. So they I love the acting by her when after he leaves and you see she
breaks down.
Briefly, she breaks down like
Mm-hmm.
the only emotion you see her. Well, besides the beginning, the only emotion you see her. Okay, then she's with her boyfriend. You meet Marcel.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the next chapter? See, I didn't write down.
I think they go. I think she goes and speaks to her boyfriend, and then it's the next chapter.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
She's and she's talking about planning on what she's going to do. She's like, we're going to have the Nazis here, and then we're going to plan on.
I love how they
burning it
talk
down.
about the old film.
He says you're planning on doing that.
No, saying
Well,
the talk of film and how flammable it is.
The nitrate, right?
Yeah.
And you see the 35 millimeter nitrate, and then you see the little service announcement of the guy on the train. I love that. And that was Samuel Jackson also.
Right, doing the voice. Yep.
Yeah. And then she's like, we're going to make a film. We're also going to make a film just for the Nazis. So that's great. And then Marcel's like, okay. Yeah. And then the next chapter 4 is next. It's Operation Kino. So it's great. I guess it's really, Kino means movie theater in German. So if they ever heard, Operation Kino, that's a kind of a tell if the Germans heard about the name of their plan.
And that's when Mike Myers comes in, right? His character.
Mm-hmm.
That's the next scene.
How did that happen?
How did what happen?
Mike Myers coming in. It almost felt like, I know the first time I saw it, and I actually think, he does a great job, but automatically I'm thinking like he's doing one of his characters,
Right.
He did an awesome job in that movie. He was fantastic.
He was good, right?
He does a great accent.
Yeah. And I love Michael Fassbender, one of the best characters also, Archie. His over the top English, So the funny thing is in real life, he was born in Germany.
Right.
And he moved to Ireland, I think. So he speaks German, whatever. And in the movie, it's like the opposite. What he's playing, you know what I mean? Like he says he's German. And
he almost felt like he was doing like an Errol Flynn type accent, or just the way the flair of his voice,
Yeah.
One of my favorite scenes though was, we'll go to it later, but in the basement with him. And I'm like,
that is
I'll give it away.
Of course. That's not an upset, Dave. That's my favorite scene. That's one of my best scenes in any movie.
Any movie.
Enjoyable movie scenes. So what's funny? One thing I did note is Mike Myers says the bar is in the globe. I've always wanted one of those, by the way. I want one at home. I love geography. I love a nice globe, and then I love fine spirits inside.
The old guy smoking the cigar, is that supposed to be Churchill?
That's Churchill. Yeah. So you know who that is? That's Rod Taylor, who was in The Birds. He was in a bunch of. I think he was in some war movies too.
He didn't have any lines in it. He just sat in the corner.
He did say.
Well,
something.
he had a couple lines.
Did he?
He's like, fill him in or something. He said or something.
First he talks to him about how his girl was doing with German film, and he says pretty good. So Archie Hickok is a film critic.
Right.
That's what he was before the war. Of course, you got to have
He's
that.
written some
That's
books
great. And then I think that was a real movie that he was talking about too. The Pitts Paloo. I think that was the movie that Shoshana was taken down from her movie theater too. But so he was talking about that, and I think Churchill said something about Louis B. Mayer, and then Hickok says more like he would probably be like more David L. Selznick, was a big Hollywood actor, and I think he was more of a Republican. I think he was more of a right wing. That's why maybe why he says that. And then he says, brief him.
That's
basically, basically they're convinced. Oh yeah, he speaks German like a Katzenjammer kid. That's what Archie says. So good. Okay, then they cut to they're across the street from the Rathskeller, the basement. When Brad Pitt is not happy about their plan with Bridget von Hammerschmidt, and
she is hot.
She's so based on Marlene Dietrich, I guess, too, a little bit. But yeah, he's so Archie Hickok is saying. So this, I had a question. I had a question after the basement scene we'll talk about, but Archie Hickok, he questioned Stiglitz. He says, "Are you calm? Do I look calm? Don't I look calm to you?" Actually, you do. And then he says, Stiglitz isn't the loquacious type. Is that what you need? The loquacious type? Every line is great, especially from Aldo. So then Aldo says, you don't have to be, he says, Miss Hammerschmidt is not, a military strategist. And he says, you don't have to be Stonewall Jackson to know fighting in a basement is bad. You don't fight in a basement. Then yes, my favorite scene. They shoot to they're walking down in the basement, and they're playing the game, playing the game with
the card game,
cards. Yep. So
Max just had a baby.
Yeah.
They were excited about the baby, and then
I hate Wilhelm. Yep.
You hate him?
Wilhelm, yeah, he's annoying.
Wilhelm.
And now we don't have any English for the next 20 minutes? No English, I think, or
no English.
Yeah.
But listen, it goes from a celebratory little party to
they all stop.
Fucking hailstorm. Oh God.
No, exactly. And then they all stop on the stairs seeing all the people because it's supposed to be nobody in the she says there's only French people. There's not usually crowded, but there's only Frenchmen. And then one of the bastards want to leave. Bridget says they should stay because it would be it would just
weird
look bad.
If you showed up and left. Yep.
And this is one of the most tense scenes because this builds up the tension, and then it's relieved for a second. So first, Wilhelm is Wilhelm. Oh, so they're at the table. She was playing the game with the guys, which it's funny. It showed Chief of the Apaches. I don't know if that's a shout out to Aldo.
Oh yeah,
isn't he part Apache?
Yep.
And then she's like, I have friends here, and then drunk asshole Wilhelm comes over, and
he blew it.
Blew the whole thing.
He comes over. He says, he asked for her autograph. Well,
right, yeah, he asked for her autograph for his son.
Yeah.
Just had his son 5 hours ago.
Then he starts to. He says, "Why are you meeting?" And this is great when Archie is talking to him, and Wilhelm's reaction looks at him, and he says, "You have a strange accent." What does he say exactly?
He couldn't place his accent, I don't think.
Yeah.
He was just making small talk. I don't even know if he was, because he was drunk.
Stiglitz. Yeah, he just says, that your accent. That's his reaction. So, and Stiglitz grabs him. You would think it wouldn't be even if they were German officers, that would be a stupid reaction. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Stiglitz grabs him like a real German officer and starts yelling at him, and you must be, drunk. You're all responsible for him, or he's gonna be arrested. And that's when Hellstrom stands up with his boot of German beer.
Son of a bitch.
Might I inquire? That's the first time you see him, that he's in the bar. So great. And he says, like the young sergeant,
I like what he called him, Sergeant Munich, Sergeant Frankfurt.
Yes.
But you, Sergeant, I don't, yeah.
Lieutenant Munich, Lieutenant.
That's what it is, yeah.
He goes, I wasn't speaking to you, Lieutenant Munich, or Lieutenant Frankfurt. He goes, I was talking to Captain I don't know what. And that's
unbelievable.
when,
like, who would even? I wouldn't even think about the accents of German soldiers. I thought they all talked the same, which is obviously small-minded when you think about it. You know.
Yes, it's great. And then he talks about the movie, and he says, it's funny because you even forget Fassbender's speaking in German here. You're just reading, subtitles, and he buys it, and then says he wants to play the game, and I think Hellstrom is so great with the King Kong.
Yeah.
But he guesses slavery first.
Slavery. He goes, must be slavery. They said something like that's Tarantino's real theory about King Kong. That it was
when he said that, I thought, wait a second, was that what it was? Because that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. And then I love how and then they do a flash. Stiglitz is watching him when they're playing, right? And then Stiglitz pictures someone whipping him. He just hates officers. So don't worry, Stiglitz. Even though you're gonna die, none of the bastards are afraid of dying. Neither is Archie. But so then and then they play the game, and then I love when Hellstrom is all serious. This is another buildup of tension before it gets released a little, when he says, I'm not intruding unless Bridget von Hammerstein, Hammersmark, I can't even remember her name, says I'm intruding, and then he stares at him for like a beat and starts laughing. I'm joking. Of course I'm intruding.
Yeah.
So great. Just let me buy you one drink.
Yeah.
And this is it's a great tell. So it's funny. I was talking to my friend Brian, and he's telling me one of his favorite movies, and his wife, my friend, also Christine. Her mother was 100% German, and she said she always corrected them on the way they put up the 3. So
why? I don't understand that.
It's just a German thing.
Just a local way they did it. Yeah.
So Christine, hi Christine.
That's funny.
If you're the one female listener to our podcast, she said watching this, she knew. She's like, oh yeah, they got to know that's awesome. That's not a German thing.
I love that that's a real thing. I mean, just like that's the type of detail.
See, once they did the 3s and they both knew it was up. They both knew it was 100%.
This is my favorite part of it.
You're just waiting for it to start.
Part. This is it.
This is my favorite part when he says, I've had a gun pointed at your testicles, and he said, I've also had a gun pointed at you. And then he says, you're no more German than that Scotch. And then you have Archie with the great line, well, old boy, if I'm going to go up, may as well speak the Kings.
Did the other guy say first? He goes,
I hope you don't mind if I go speak the Kings.
That's my favorite line. That's my favorite line. One of my favorite lines.
I think he's called me 3 times this week and said that to me.
I hope you don't mind if I go out speaking the Kings.
Yeah.
But I just love the fact that he's like, before he said that, the German SS officer, what was his name again?
Hellstrom.
Basically,
he says, we're not leaving.
We're not fucking leaving this basement.
Yeah. Whatever happens to them, you and I.
Whatever happens, we're fucking going out. And that's who was like, fuck it, whatever. I'm going to go out speaking the Kings.
That's right. Yep. And then he says, hope you don't mind. He says it so British too. Well, oh boy, hope you don't mind if I go out speaking the Kings. And then he says, there's a special rung in hell reserved. This obviously why I'm drinking this. The special rung in hell reserved for people who waste good Scotch. And then he drinks it. The look on his face. Well, he says, and seeing IBM rapping at the door momentarily, and he downs the Scotch. He says, must say, damn good stuff, sir.
But then,
and then about this little pickle we're in. There's only one thing left for us to do. And what's that?
And Stiglitz just fucking starts stabbing the fuck out of him.
Shoots him in the balls and stabs him in the back of the head.
I think he's stabbing the other guy, isn't he? Or is he stabbing him?
No, he's stabbing and shooting him.
Yeah, I think he shot him. He did the dick shot, then the head stab.
And then fucking the
Did you hear what
Malays
Stiglitz
too.
said before he shot him?
I forget.
He says, "Auf Wiedersehen to your Nazi balls," which is
It's poetry.
it is poetry. Put that on my tombstone. Auf
But then
Wiedersehen to your Nazi balls.
Melee ensues. It's it's a bloodbath, right? And then you have Aldo screaming down the basement stairs. I fucking love it.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's great.
So
I
good.
know.
But
I get
then
bummed
but
that
Chris-
Archie's on in only so. Sorry.
But you asked the question earlier this week. Would you have killed Max? Is that what you said? No, Willem?
So, that's what I'm getting to. So I'm gonna reference back. So, right, you see, I was just bemoaning the fact that we don't get to see Archie. He wasn't in it enough, and Stiglitz, R.I.P. But so then Aldo was coming down. He says it's a Mexican standoff, and he says you can't have a Mexican. And he goes, "You got guns on us? You kill us, they throw grenades down, you're dead. That's a Mexican standoff." And he talks him into leaving. He says, "What else are you gonna do, son?" So I kind of watched it and I'm like, Aldo's not gonna, he's gonna let him go.
He would.
But-
Yeah.
But do you remember?
Maybe not. I don't know.
But do you remember
wanna let
what
him go.
Hickok
No.
said earlier
Listen, you
when they were
could've-
across the street?
I don't
When they were
remember.
across
but
the street, he says,
What?
"You just better make sure no German or French leave that alive."
Right.
If
Because
things
then
go wrong.
they would know that she's
Exactly.
by.
That's
Yeah.
what I said.
Exactly. They would know she was this. So I think, she was obviously mad that he, Wilhelm's like, "Get her out of my sight." And she, immediately shoots him. Well, I was going to say, maybe she knows he can't live, but she's
Yeah.
also like, screw this guy.
Yeah.
But yes,
He had to go.
I didn't think that didn't strike me because I usually am like, what else are you going to do, son? I'm like, Aldo's not going to kill him. But they
Well, I
literally
think-
said,
I don't know. I think it's anyone that has a kid, you're like, oh, the guy just had a baby. Let him
Yeah,
go.
5 hours ago. Yeah.
Instead of his son 5 hours ago. But you couldn't
Oh,
fuck him with. He had to go. So,
I did not fit. I didn't feel bad for Wilhelm. Screw him.
Have we not talked enough about the amount of snuff that Brad Pitt's been sniffing the whole movie?
You're right. 100%. We haven't mentioned it enough.
Do you
I love
know
it.
that? Fun fact. Do you know that German soldiers were all given meth and coke?
I don't know about all of them, right?
That
A lot of them
is about
were.
right.
A lot of them were.
I believe it.
Dude, think about Blitzkrieg. All those guys had a fucking run through battle. That's what they fed those guys that shit all through the war. Go ahead, keep going.
Yep. No, I agree. I mean, I believe it, I should say. I know they were on something.
Yeah.
So the next, they show Bridget getting the bullet taken out by a vet.
She should have.
I love the
taken her
dogs
shoe.
in this scene.
Great scene.
So so that's when Aldo says we got word for that kind of coincidence. It's called suspicious, and then that's when he sticks his finger in the bullet hole.
Right in there.
And she starts telling, she tells him the two developments after he asks what happened. She explains, and then she says the two developments. The movie gets moved to a smaller venue, and then the second one is the Nazi,
The
up
Führer
a
will be. Yeah.
echelon is going to be there. And I love when so Donnie says "fuck a duck." Great Donnie line. And so they talk about. Wait, do they talk about?
no,
That's when they talk about Italian.
this is when they talk about Italian.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't know if it
They
flashed
speak
over
another language.
to hands. Right. So they talk about what they're gonna do because they need tickets. She's got a bullet in her leg, and then, but she says, right. That's when she says, "Don't you Germans go mountain climbing?"
Yeah.
That's what I texted you today, Sha. I like drinking, smoking, and eating in restaurants, but I get your point. So then.
Well, that's when
And
she.
she says, "Well, it sounds good," and he says, "Sounds like shit." But what else are we gonna do? Go home?
He says, I can speak a little Italian. Donnie speaks second best, and Omar speaks third best. And Omar goes, I don't speak Italian. He goes, exactly. You speak third best.
That's what I said. Third best. So
Yeah.
great. I love Omar too, by the way. Omar, such a good gift.
Oh my God, that
So-
works.
So this is when they cut to Hans finding, like, it wasn't that enough that he found the shoe, that he found a napkin with her autograph.
Yep.
So yeah, didn't take the German Sherlock Holmes to figure that one out.
Right. That fell into his lap.
Yeah, it's great. So then the next chapter, the Revenge of the Giant Face. I love the cat people, Bowie, her
Awesome.
dressing up in all red, came out of nowhere. So well done. I think it's so great. It's like the change in tone. She's putting on her war paint. It's like you said, Mike, everything's so bright.
Yep.
You know, so many.
I looked
reds
up. I was looking up drinks to watch movies with, and someone made a drink called the Woman in Red, based on red wines. I was like, well, I'm in Target. I found red wine. That's what led to my drink of choice. Little did I know there was little red wine later.
Yes, probably Italian, but yeah. And then they flashing back to them. They're wearing like French Resistance outfits, and they're making the movie, and they're threatening the guy to
develop it, right? Because
develop it, right.
So a quick aside, I
Can we pause for 1 second?
Yep. Wait a minute.
5 seconds.
So the developing of the film just reminded me that my freshman year of college, I took film, and you get this little, it was an old Super 8 camera. So you got a cartridge that goes into the camera. And I remember the first time shooting the film thinking, okay, now what do we do to put this into the projector? I had no idea that you had to develop the film. And I thought, obviously, what an idiot. But
So that is a big job.
So it is like because we were in Fitchburg. I think you had to take the train to Boston. That was the only place that was developing, like, it was 8mm film. And then seeing her use a little cutter, like a little editor.
Oh yeah, that she
we did that. We
film.
had cutting film and taping it to like make our first film, which was just seeing that was cool.
So then we cut to Hans at the premiere of the movie. You could tell he's in charge of security, and he comes out and he spots them right away, the three Italians. Like, this is such an obvious thing. It's like Hans would have, if he didn't come up with his plan, Hans would have like foiled this so easily. But he saw Bridget. He knew she was, well, he already knew from the napkin and everything. And then
I love that shot though of him. There's all this stuff going on. Like, that's what I love about movies like this, where all these people are doing all these different things, but they're not the point. It's all this one guy just coming down the stairs.
Right. I noticed like two people in the background talking.
And everything's got to be perfect. And I love that stuff.
Right.
Such a
it is. And then you see him.
David, I could talk about the beach of Amity Island, just the different characters there for an hour.
All right, but listen though. Hold on. You can't
Bring it,
pass
Fonzie.
the fact that he was asking them to say their names more than once.
I'm going to get to that. Yes.
Unreal.
After he hilariously laughs, the way he laughs at her when she says mountain climbing.
Right.
Oh, yeah, totally.
They're all horrified at how hard he laughs, and everybody stops.
Yeah.
Love it. And then yes, he says, he goes, of course Hans speaks fantastic, excellent. How do you say that in Italian? Fantastico. Italian. He launches into this speech about how grateful he is that they're coming, that they guess, and then Alda gives a grazie. And then it should be kind of silly, but it's not. It's just entertaining when he says Gorlami. Has him say it 3 times, and then of course Aldo the last time says Gorlami, whispers it. He says Gorlami. Then Antonio Margaretti.
That's Eli Roth.
Say it with music.
Yeah.
Antonio Margaretti. And then perfect. The guy who doesn't speak Italian. What's your name? Domenico Coco. That's it. Excellent. I think he just says bravo to him or something.
But okay, the acting in that scene was fantastic too. Like, Hans was fantastic in that scene was
funny but tense too. Like, you're just waiting for it to snap.
But here's what I don't get. Why did he kill her? And like, why?
He was just so angered by her. You could tell her betrayal. Maybe he was a fan of her. You know what I mean? She was a big German movie star, and just the fact that she would do this, even though he came up with this. So he's obviously, as the film went on, and this is years later, you could tell he doesn't have the same principles as Nazis, the same thought. You know,
he's
what
just
I mean?
a man hired to do a job.
He's just evil. He's just evil and good at his job, and he was, happened to be a Nazi, and so he's just looking out for himself. He thought, what's the best thing? What's the best thing for me to do? And so then he just kills her. I think kind of a tough scene to watch.
Definitely tough scene to watch.
That's where you remember he is the villain.
Yeah. Right. I think that's what they wanted to show. Like he's just too angered by her betrayal, and just has to kill her, because he does say, he says later, she
got what was coming to her. Yeah.
So, but at least this makes me feel, you felt bad about Bridget, but I'm like, she planned on dying anyways. At least, like that's the thing with these guys. These guys, their plan is to just blow themselves up.
Yeah.
So she was gonna be with them, right? I mean, so at least Bridget was gonna die anyways, I guess. That's some consequence.
So that was their ultimate plan, not to plant the bomb, just to blow themselves up.
I mean, with the bombs on their ankles, that's where.
Right.
Oh, Donnie and Omar. So they get their tickets first before he strangled her. They walk down. They're so excited. They're in the belly of the beast. It's so great seeing you. Eli Roth was good at this.
Excuse me. This was one of my favorites.
Yeah, they're like so excited. They're sitting right in the middle. They have clear rolls of dynamite strapped to their ankles, and then after Hans strangles her, picks up the phone. The guy in the white smoking jacket, and you see him get tackled. And I love when Aldo, when Hans is teasing him and he pokes his head, and he gives a nice little headbutt.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, he's funny then though. He's like, you're in the hands of the SS.
But Hans planted the bomb too, before he left. He put the bomb under Goebbels' seat.
Yes, they show the same scene again, right? They show. Yeah. He said that last part is true, but we'll get that right. So he takes them down the road, and this is the great part. And Aldo is not afraid. You're gonna love, like, Aldo's like, they're gonna kill me. He's like, would you show me mercy? And he's like, nope, I wouldn't show mercy either. He goes, the shoe's on the other foot. Is that what you say?
That's That's with BJ Novak.
But he asked them again if we knew who he was, and then
they knew who he was.
If they knew who Hans was, like what's his reputation? But then he's like, oh yeah, we have a nickname for you too, like the little
man.
the little man.
He goes, I'm the little man. That was.
I fucking love that scene.
Great, it's great.
So
and he says the Nazi nickname for me is the little man. He goes, and that's why, and that's the quote you had earlier. Yep. You're not circus midget.
Not circus midget little.
Which is, by the way, that's not appropriate.
No, not at all.
No, not at all.
No. And he said, he says, I won't help. And then he lays out his plan. He says, I'm not going to help end the war, only to face a Jewish tribe. Well,
Yeah.
And that's why Aldo wouldn't believe him. And he says, most of the time you're right. And then he's like, when he says, you work for the OSS? And Aldo doesn't say anything. Well, that's, the English, CIA.
Yeah, special force.
And he says, that's a bingo. Is that how you say it?
Is that how you say it?
You just say bingo. He's so funny. He's so great. That's when he gives him wine.
Scene. But that's the first scene with those two in it. So that's a powerhouse scene with the two in there, like, going back and forth.
Serves them probably Chianti that they can't drink with their arms tied behind their arms behind their back. I love it.
So he gives them his plan.
Right. So then they flash. What's that, Dave?
Which was a great plan.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, he's lucky nobody else, spotted these idiots with dynamite on their legs, and the fact that they all the doors were locked. We'll get to Shoshana's last scene, but
And Marcel.
and
I have a
Marcel,
question about him.
So but first they show. So they go to Donnie and Omar. Is that next?
That's
yes.
when Donnie. Is that when Donnie leaves and then sees Hitler?
Yes. And the other guy, Omar, doesn't want to leave. He's watching the movie.
Yeah.
You see that? He gives a little sign and then he's like, I love this little 5-second, 10-second thing where they dress up like waiters. They show them and they put those guns on their
Those
hands.
wrist guns,
and they shoots one guy in the head, and then Omar runs over and shoots the other guy. They have the little music. Great.
And then, and during all this, we're seeing the movie itself, and we're seeing the actor there, not really liking it. Not enjoying the glamour of the violence.
Yes.
While Hitler is sitting there going, "This is your greatest work," and Goebbels almost
You're
crying.
laughing.
Hitler's laughing and loving it.
Paid him the compliment. Exactly.
So good.
And that's when, and they flash back to Londa talking to the general, whoever, and says, I want us all to get a medal, and says, I want a property on Nantucket.
Oh, when he says, "I medal for all the bastards too," and he gives them a little nod, like, that's for you guys.
Oh, it's so great. Then you see the part where Zoller, right? He can't watch himself shooting. He goes, and then Shoshana feels bad. She, invites him in to lock the door, and shoots him in the back 3 times.
Yeah, that he barges in. You can see there's some violence with him too.
Right. Then you could tell she's too good. She has some compassion. She liked him a little bit, and then I just thought that was great. The music they did that, and I'm like, as much as Shoshana was she's really the hero of the movie. It's like kind of her story, even that's one plot, but she's the one who traveled, who escaped and everything, and was in the cinema. And so
I gotta pause for a bit. Gotta take the old crying down.
Yep. And then Shoshana and
then he turns over, shoots her.
Yeah, and the music is so great how they do that.
And so she doesn't even get to see the fruit of her labor.
No.
But
it's kind of
I see where she kicks on and her face is on the screen though.
It's great. It's like she's back from the dead.
Yep.
This is Shoshana Dreyfus.
I even love just the how the projection works. We go from this one to this one to this one, the flipping, like, again, that's more Tarantino just loving film.
And right. And Hitler getting all outraged. And this is so some Tarantino violence is like, it's a little over the top for me. Like, I love Django, but and it's so good, Django, except the part, I don't love the shootout near the end. It's like, it's just a little over the top, and that kind of leaves like a bad taste. Like, but this, I don't even, when Donnie and Omar are going crazy, Donnie's shooting Hitler and Goebbels, and Omar's just shooting the interpreter. Did you see that? Did you notice that? He's just got his machine gun, he's shooting her. And then just seeing them shoot everybody, and then it's like Donnie shooting Hitler like 9,000 times, right. So his face is...
It's like
B movie
I just
level.
Thought
it was amusing though. Still,
yeah, it's something about like it's even just the cheesy B movie level of
exactly.
Just the
but
violence.
It's like when you first watched it, you're like, okay, that's not how this. You didn't know it was going to be alternate history,
right?
But if the ending of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was so bad, and so gory and bloody for the people that killed,
it wasn't even though,
those
right?
Innocent people. There could have been no better person to fucking shoot a million times.
Exactly. You see Eli or Donnie's face, like when he's like, and just
fucking the best.
And then they show there.
And I wish that's how it went down in real history. That would have been fantastic.
I know. Well, that's why he made it like that. You know what I mean? Like it's, you know,
He made his own
cathartic
history.
kind of that. Wanted to see, would love to have seen this happen like this.
We didn't touch about the talk so much about how flammable film is, and then we see the mountain
Oh, right.
Flame.
behind the screen.
Yes,
was
I'm
awesome.
sorry. Right. And then Marcel's like, Shoshana says,
And he doesn't,
yeah, so
he doesn't light a match. He smokes a cigarette and flicks it, and just even that slow motion flick. I mean, just awesome.
so that's one of the questions I had. Did Shoshana plan on dying?
I don't know.
Because
I
I mean,
don't
she was
think
pretty
so.
emotional, so she
The
probably
way
thought
they
she-
kissed each other when they left, it almost looked like they were saying goodbye. Did
Right.
Marcel die? Did Marcel die?
That's a good question. The place blows to hell. I mean,
Like-
is there an exit right there?
Because he went
He's in the back of the
outside, went into the back behind the screen. Did he flick it and then run? Like,
I hope so.
Yeah.
theater. He was the sole survivor of that building.
I hope so.
Right. So it was great, and you see, and then they show their legs. They show the dynamite blow up on their legs. Not afraid.
They knew what they were there for.
Dying in all their
They did their
glory.
job. Yep.
Very
Just even without the box, them just spraying the audience, trying to leave, burning, and they're not going to let them just burn to death. They're going to just fire as many and changing magazines. Boom, let's go, some more. Just willfully shooting into the crowd of anybody.
Eli Roth did such a good job in that.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Sandler could have, because of his great acting,
Right.
but I don't know. It's just I didn't like Eli Roth on that
His-
part.
Yeah,
And
his face.
They wouldn't
yeah,
have,
perfect.
say that again.
His face, that mask of just pure delight and anger mixed together. Oh,
Yeah.
so good.
He wouldn't have left if he could have. He's
Right. Yeah.
having too much
Yeah.
fun. If he had it out, he's like, nope, this is how I'm going. Then you get cuts to the last scene. Driving to the end, American lines, right?
As you say favorite so much, but the one line Aldo says here might be, I don't know, could be up there as one of my favorites.
Oh, when he says shootout.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but we finally get to see Hans lose his shit and be not in control. And he,
Yep. He thinks he's got it all perfect, and now I officially surrender.
Yeah.
And
And
then
then
he
he shoots. Aldo gives him shoots.
His
I forget
lover.
his name. I forget. They said his name even.
No, they were partners. Though. They were sexual partners.
They were?
Correct? Yes.
Where did you get that from?
What do you mean? How did you not get that?
The guy, wasn't that just
Yeah,
like,
those were Hans.
that was just some guy who was driving the truck, I thought.
No. I don't
Herman.
think so.
Where did
They
you
were-
pick up on
They
that?
were gonna live together in Nantucket. Did you guys not hear that? What do your faces look like that for? Are you kidding me?
He said he was going to get a place in Nantucket. and
He's gonna
there.
live in it.
I never heard.
No. Go back and watch it. I'm telling you right now. But go ahead, keep going.
With it. Did someone break out the edibles again?
No. No. That's what I thought. No.
Mike, can you take a poll?
Yeah, I need to
Go back and watch that. I think
Okay.
I have a good take on that. But go ahead. Go ahead.
And then he says, what's Aldo
He says-
and
He says, he goes, they need you. They don't need him. It's like,
right. But
you'll
who's the
be
little man?
shot.
I'm
The little-
having a brain cramp. Who's the little man?
Oh, the character name.
I know. I'm just thinking.
I can't think of it.
He tells him to scalp Herman. Scalp Herman.
Yeah.
And he's
And
down
they
there
cut to him
scalping
looking up,
And he's
and he goes,
not
"I
even
wouldn't
thinking
look-"
about it.
Yep, because this is the great. He says, "You'll be shot for this," and then he
Right.
says, "No, I won't be. Probably chewed out. I've been chewed out before.
That was my favorite. I love that.
Probably it's probably the best." And then
He
he
was
said,
very upset though that Hans was that the guy was killed.
"Of course he was."
Yeah.
He goes,
Because
"You made
he
a
thought
deal for
maybe
that
he was
man's
gonna
life.
get
Doesn't
killed.
mean he was his sexual partner."
Yeah. I don't know.
They were. But go ahead, keep going.
So okay, I got thrown off.
That's
So
an
then-
interesting theory, but it totally shocked me.
Then Aldo, every line Aldo says in this is gold, but Aldo says, I would have made that deal. If I were you, it's a good deal. and he said, I'd make that deal. Wouldn't you make that deal? Why can't I think of it? And they cut down to him scalping.
No, that's not it.
They cut down to him scalping Herman. I think
Herman the lover.
Oh yeah, and then he says, and
Udovich.
Udovich. Oh yes. How do I get? Udovich is in a couple of great quotes, but he says, "I'd make that deal," and then he asks, he says, "When you get to Nantucket," he goes, "You got to take off that uniform," and he goes, "And that I can't abide." He goes, "Would you abide by that, Udovich?" "No, not one damn bit." And he's still scalping Herman. And then he does his the shout out to I think it's Tarantino saying, "This might be I think this just might be my masterpiece." And you see the view. By the way, does anybody end movies better than Tarantino? Like with the music? Like I always remember Pulp Fiction was such a great ending with the music, and then the end of this, and you have that
into the score. Yep.
And it says written and directed by, I don't know, an all-time classic. I think
spectacular.
Possibly his best.
It was awesome. As much as I mean, it might be my favorite.
No.
I mean, I love Pulp Fiction's probably my favorite, but it's as much as I love
too, but this I think this I just think this might
this is like a spectacle of
it really is, but I think this has a couple of the scenes, the opening and the basement, the two of the best scenes. You could say those are two of the top 5 Tarantino scenes. I think without a doubt.
It's like
two scenes in any movie.
Yeah, it's an ode to French cinema, an ode to German cinema, an ode to old war movies. I mean, it just touches on so many things.
Yeah.
It touched on me too.
Touched on Herman.
They both touched each other.
I believe,
I'm telling you, watch the ending, you'll realize.
See, even if it's not true, I will forever think it now every time I see it.
This is true. This is true.
You're welcome.
So if this is it, old boy, Mikey, we got to go out speaking the Kings.
Okay.
Jolly good. I wish I had a retort,
a follow-up,
something planned up, a good follow-up. See, I wish I couldn't even say follow-up.
Well, you can edit that, Mikey, after. You
We'll
just
do
have
that.
your own follow-up and then edit it.
I will. Already, jolly good, governor. There we go. I'll edit that in later.
Oh yeah, we don't want to get into your
Did we
Cockney movies.
Did we forget to mention who the voice was on the other end of the when Hans was making his deal?
Oh, Keitel.
Harvey Keitel, yes. Another Tarantino favorite. That was awesome. Just here, I'm like, wait a second, I know who that is.
I know, so great. The Wolf. You call him the Wolf?
Yeah. All of it.
Excellent.
That just having that him
classic.
and Sam Jackson in it. It's almost like Kurt Russell doing the voiceover, except Kurt Russell was in Once Upon a Time as well.
Right. Yeah, very enjoyable. I'm glad we did this movie.
Did we want to talk about? I mean, I feel like we did it while we were going, but favorite characters, favorite moments, or least favorite, or anything?
I think we talked about our favorite scenes. So yes, that's a good point. I had my favorite characters. Aldo is obviously up there, and obviously Hans. Archie, you gotta love. I even loved Hellstrom, but my most favorite underrated character is Stiglitz. I don't know if he's underrated.
I'm just gonna say Shoshana.
Shoshana was great. I know. I should give her due. I actually have Shoshana written down next to all those.
You guys go too deep. Aldo is probably the best, and then Hans.
Yeah,
Hans is fantastic.
But as far as underrated, Major Hellstrom was just so great in his
he was good
in his little role.
I guess my thinking is like, you watching it again. I already know that Brad Pitt's great. I already know that Christoph Waltz is great. I'm appreciating the Shoshana performance, I think, more.
Yes,
this time.
true.
Maybe
I appreciate the performance from Hans at the end. That was really good too.
With
Yeah.
no,
No,
you're talking
Hans.
about him and Herman.
No, Herman. That was really good.
Yeah. I feel like something's happened to you. Did you hit your head or did like at one point I feel like you've lost. I haven't seen your face in 20 minutes. Are you sleeping?
He looks different.
Yeah.
No.
Nice.
Listen,
That
for
chap-
me, my favorite scenes in this movie, by far the basement scene was my top scene. Just
It's
because
my favorite.
Yeah.
just going out the Kings was probably one of my favorite lines of the movie too.
I'll call Archie my favorite character.
Archie was a great character too. Honestly, I would say if you're gonna say underrated or not mentioned enough, he was probably top dog. But that scene was fantastic. Oh, so good.
And then, by all means, Captain, when he switches to English.
Yep.
I like when Hellstrom speaks
He
English.
does it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yep, it's an infinitely rewatchable movie. This is.
It is glorious. It's the opposite of Inglourious.
It really is.
Guys, I gotta. I'm gonna say it again. The last three movies, we really brought it. I gotta say,
We nailed it. Now
We nailed the last three.
we're doing something a little different this time. We already know, and we're telling you, both of you, all of you listeners out there, to get ready for the next movie that this time two of us have seen, but young David, the little man, has not seen. We're doing from 2014, writer-director Damien Chazelle. Did I say that right? Yeah.
Yes.
Starring Miles Teller and J.K. Simmons, Whiplash.
Not my tempo.
Oh baby, oh baby.
Not quite my tempo.
Dave, you're gonna frustratingly love this movie. That's all I'll say.
Is Herb in this movie too?
His name's Herman.
Herman.
You know,
Okay.
it's like I think you need to go to bed. So
This
with
is
that,
this is the first movie David has seen post 2009, apparently.
yeah,
No,
Right.
No. I've
this
seen
is the
many
newest movie
movies.
he's ever seen.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I look forward to
boys.
it.
All right, until
Awesome.
next time, my friends, we nailed it. We had another fine movie with some fine spirits. Say goodnight, David.
Good night, guys. I'm out.
Say goodnight, David. You fucking.
Avita Shane,
I
you
was
Nazi
thinking that.
balls.
You're supposed to say goodnight, David. It's an old joke.
No, I don't
Jesus
wanna,
Christ.
I'm not gonna do your bullshit, Mike.
Oh, there goes my dog again. We're done.
We talk about great movies while drinking. We talk about great movies while drinking. Yeah, we talk about great movies while drinking. And we feel fine.
You can tell Tarantino loves that stuff,
Yeah.
obviously.
Even wasn't he a projectionist? Wasn't that one of his first jobs or something?
I think he might have been before the
Was it
video
video
store.
store?
He was a pool boy.
I was. Okay, that's the end.